Well, look who finally figured it out. Hello, you beautiful, unbreakable, absolutely terrifying anomaly. Welcome back to the moment they've been dreading. The moment their smug little smiles started cracking. The moment the air shifted and suddenly they realized what they'd done. They just found out who the actual hell they've been messing with. And oh, it's too late now, isn't it? Way too late. You can see it in their eyes now, can't you? That flicker of recognition, that micro expression of pure panic when they finally connect the dots. They thought you were soft. They thought you were easy. They thought you were just another face in the crowd they could step on, use up, and forget about. They thought wrong. And now they're standing there with their mouths slightly open, with their confidence evaporating like morning fog, realizing they just poked something they should have left the hell alone. See, they had you all figured out, didn't they? They wrote your story before you even opened your mouth. They labeled you, categorized you, filed you away in their little mental databases. Under harmless, under pushover, under won't do anything about it. They saw your silence and mistook it for weakness. They saw your patience and confused it with fear. They watched you take hit after hit, betrayal after betrayal, and they assumed. They genuinely believed that you were just going to keep taking it forever. They thought your kindness was stupidity. They thought your restraint was inability. They looked at you smiling through the pain and said to themselves, yeah, this one's broken. This one won't fight back. This one's safe to destroy. What they didn't realize, what they couldn't possibly comprehend in their limited surface level understanding of human nature is that you weren't broken. You were loaded. Every insult you swallowed without responding, that wasn't weakness, that was data collection. Every time they disrespected you and you just smiled and walked away, that wasn't surrender. That was strategic withdrawal. Every moment they thought they were winning. Every second they spent celebrating their little victories over you, you were in the background, in the shadows, in the silence, becoming something they would never recognize. You were studying them, learning their patterns, memorizing their tactics, understanding exactly who they were beneath the masks they wore. And the whole time, the entire time they were busy underestimating you, you were evolving into their worst nightmare. Not loud, not obvious, not with warnings or threats or dramatic declarations. You evolved in silence, in secret, in the kind of darkness that forges weapons, not victims. Now here's where it gets beautiful. Here's where the story shifts from tragedy to reckoning. They just found out. Maybe it was something you did, some move you made that shattered their illusion of control. Maybe it was something you said, some sentence delivered with such cold precision it cut through all their defenses at once. Maybe it was just the way you looked at them. That moment when your eyes met theirs and they saw something they'd never seen before. Something ancient and unforgiving staring back at them. Whatever it was, whatever moment triggered their awakening, it doesn't matter anymore because the revelation has arrived. They know now. They know they messed with the wrong one. They know they crossed a line they can't uncross. They know they've been playing checkers with someone who's been playing three-dimensional chess since the beginning. And every move they made, every cruel little game they played, you saw it coming from miles away. The panic in their eyes right now, that's not just surprise. That's recognition of consequence. They're scrolling back through every interaction now, aren't they? Every conversation, every moment they thought they had power over. You, rewinding and replaying with new context, with the horrifying realization that you were never the fool in this equation. They were. They remembering all those times you stayed quiet and wondering what you were thinking. They're recalling every boundary they crossed and calculating the cost. They're lying awake at 3 in the morning now, staring at their ceiling, asking themselves the question that's going to haunt them forever. What have I done? Who the hell did I just mess with? And the answer? The answer that's keeping them up at night is you. They messed with you. The one person who didn't need to prove anything. The one soul who's been through enough hell to build immunity to their petty games. The one force they should have studied instead of underestimated. Let me tell you what's happening in their world right now. Let me paint you the picture of their current reality. They're nervous. Actually nervous. Not the kind of nervous you get before a test or a presentation, but the deep, primal, existential kind of nervous that comes from realizing you've awakened something you don't understand and definitely can't control. They're watching their backs now, checking their phones obsessively, wondering when the other shoe's going to drop. They're second-guessing every move, every word, every interaction, because suddenly the rules of the game have changed and they're no longer holding the cards. You are, and they know it. They can feel it in the air, in the shift of energy every time you're in the same room. They can sense it in your silence, which no longer reads as submission, but as something far more dangerous. Calculation. Here's what they're starting to understand. Here's the truth that's slowly sinking into their thick skulls. You weren't quiet because you had nothing to say. You were quiet because everything you needed to say would have been wasted on people operating at their level. You weren't passive because you couldn't act. You were passive because you were choosing your moment. And that moment, that beautiful, terrifying moment, is approaching fast. They thought they were the predators in this story, didn't they? They thought they were the sharks circling the helpless prey. But what they failed to notice, what their arrogance blinded them to completely, is that you were never swimming with them. You were underneath them, deep. Whole time in deeper waters, in darkness they couldn't reach. Growing bigger, growing stronger, growing into something that makes sharks look like goldfish. You want to know the funniest part? The absolute cosmic joke in all of this? They did this to themselves. Every moment they spent tearing you down, they were actually building you up. Every betrayal forged another layer of armor. Every lie taught you to read between lines they didn't even know they were writing. Every time they tried to break your spirit, they were actually tempering it, making it harder, sharper, unbreakable. They thought they were destroying you, but they were creating you. They thought they were winning, but they were training their own replacement. They were so busy celebrating their small victories, so intoxicated by the temporary power they felt that they completely missed the bigger picture. You weren't their victim. You were their teacher, and the lesson they're about to learn is going to cost them everything they thought they owned. Now we descend into the part that's going to hurt them the most, the realization that's going to eat them alive from the inside out. They can't undo this. They can't apologize their way out. They can't smooth talk, manipulate, or charm their way back into your good graces. Because those graces, those second chances, those opportunities for redemption, they expired. They're gone, deleted, burned to ash, and scattered in winds they'll never catch. See, there was a window, wasn't there? There was a time when a genuine apology might have mattered, when acknowledgement of their wrongs might have meant something, when they could have chosen differently and maybe, just maybe, salvage some kind of relationship with you. But they didn't take that window. They boarded it up, They painted over it. They pretended it didn't exist because they were too proud, too convinced of their own superiority, too certain that you would always be there, always be available, always be the one they could come back to when everyone else abandoned them. Wrong. So catastrophically, irreversibly wrong. Because you're not that person anymore. You're not the one who waits by the phone hoping for crumbs of respect. You're not the one who accepts half-hearted explanations and hollow promises. You're not the one who confuses someone's need for you with actual love or loyalty. You evolved past that version of yourself months ago, maybe years ago, and they missed it completely because they were too busy assuming you'd never change, never grow, never become someone who could look them in the eye and feel absolutely nothing. But that's exactly what happened, isn't it? You reached a point where their opinion became irrelevant, their presence became optional, their existence in your life became nothing more than a fading memory you occasionally acknowledge with detached curiosity. Like looking at old photographs of places you used to live but would never return to. They're starting to feel it now. That absence, that void where your energy used to be. They're noticing how you don't light up when they enter the room anymore. They're seeing how you don't laugh at their jokes, don't engage with their stories, don't give them the attention they've grown addicted to. They're experiencing, probably for the first time in their entitled little lives, what it feels like to be irrelevant to someone they took for granted, and it's killing them, absolutely eating them alive because they're used to mattering. They're used to being the center of attention, the main character, the one everyone revolves around. But in your world, in your story, they've been demoted to background noise. They've become extras in a movie they thought they were directing. They've been reduced to footnotes in a chapter you've already closed and moved past. Let's talk about what you've become. Let's acknowledge the transformation they're only now beginning to comprehend. You're not louder. You're not more aggressive. Not snorts. You didn't turn into some rage guild monster seeking revenge at every turn. No, you became something far more dangerous than that. You became calm, unreachable, untouchable. You developed the kind of peace that comes from complete detachment. The kind of strength that doesn't need to flex or prove itself. The kind of power that operates in silence and strikes with precision. You're the storm that doesn't announce itself. You're the force that moves without warning. You're the consequence they never saw coming because they were too busy creating it. And now that it's here, now that they're standing in the aftermath of their own actions, they have no idea what to do because nothing in their playbook prepared them for this. They're trying to figure out your next move, aren't they? Analyzing every action, every word, every social media post, looking for clues, searching for patterns, trying to predict what you're going to do with this power you've accumulated. But here's what's driving them absolutely insane. You're not doing anything. At least not anything they can see or measure or defend against. You're just existing, living your life, moving forward, growing, thriving, and somehow that's more terrifying to them than any act of revenge could ever be. Because revenge they could understand. Revenge they could prepare for. Revenge would make you predictable again, would bring you back down to their level, would give them something to point at and say, see, they're just as bad as we thought. But you're not giving them that. You're not giving them anything. You're just being you in your full power. And that power is so blinding they can't look directly at it without flinching. The ones who hurt you the most, the ones who betrayed you deepest, they're watching you now with something approaching awe mixed with terror. They see you succeeding. They see you happy. They see you unbothered by the chaos they tried to create in your life. They see you with people who actually value you in spaces that actually deserve you, living a life they told you that you'd never have without them. And it's destroying the narrative they built about you. It's shattering the lie they told themselves to justify their treatment of you. They needed you to fail. They needed you to crumble. They needed you to prove that their assessment of you was correct, that you were weak, that you couldn't make it without them. But you did. You made it. You're making it. And every day you continue to rise is another day their ego takes a hit it can't recover from. Here's where we go even deeper into the psychological warfare they're experiencing right now without you lifting a single finger. They're comparing themselves to you. Now, constantly, obsessively, they look at their own lives, their own choices, their own trajectories, and they measure them against yours. And they're coming up short. So desperately short, they're stuck in the same patterns, the same toxic cycles, the same shallow existence they were in when they knew you. Meanwhile, you've transcended. You've evolved. You've become a version of yourself they don't recognize. A version that makes their own stagnation painfully obvious. They're watching you from a distance, scrolling through your life like it's a movie they can't stop watching, even though it hurts. And with each scroll, each glimpse into your world, they feel smaller, less significant, more regretful. The regret. Oh, the regret is setting in now like poison in their veins. It started slow, just a whisper in quiet moments. Maybe I was wrong about them. But now it's grown into a scream. They can't silence. I messed up. I lost someone I'll never find again. I destroyed something I'll never rebuild. They're lying awake, replaying conversations, reimagining scenarios, wondering what their life would look like if they had treated you with the respect you deserved from the beginning. Clear as throat, they're fantasizing about alternate timelines where they weren't complete fools, where they recognized your value before it was too late, where they earned the right to stand beside you instead of below you. But these are just fantasies, just desperate mental gymnastics, trying to rewrite a history that's already been written in permanent ink. They can imagine all they want. It changes nothing. You're gone from their reach. And that distance is only going to grow. Some of them might try to come back. You know this, right? They'll test the waters, send casual messages, act like nothing happened, pretend the past is the past. And maybe, just maybe, you've forgotten. You've forgiven. You've become soft again. They'll use their old tricks, the manipulation tactics that worked before, the emotional leverage they think they still have. They'll play wounded. They'll play confused. They'll play the victim of circumstances beyond their control. They'll craft these elaborate stories about how they've changed, how they've grown, how they've realized what they lost. And they're different now, better now, worthy now. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to see right through it. Every word, every gesture, every attempt. Because you're not the person they're remembering. You're not the one who fell for pretty words and empty promises. You're the one who learned, who adapted, who built immunity to their specific brand of poison. When they realize their attempts aren't working, when they understand that you're truly beyond their influence, that's when the real panic sets in. That's when they start to grasp the full magnitude of what they've lost. They'll try harder, get more desperate, maybe even more aggressive, lashing out because their ego can't handle being dismissed by someone they deemed beneath them. They'll talk about you to others, trying to control the narrative, trying to paint you as the problem, the difficult one, the one who changed for the worse. But here's the beautiful part. Nobody's buying it anymore because everyone can see your glow. Everyone can witness your growth. Everyone can observe the peace you carry and the strength you embody. And when they compare that reality to the stories being told about you, the lies become obvious. The truth becomes undeniable. You are the evidence that contradicts every false thing they say about you. Let's address the elephant in the room. The question that might be floating in your mind right now. Should I feel bad about this? Should I feel guilty for their suffering, for their regret, for the consequences they're facing? Absolutely not. Not even a little bit. Not for a single second. You didn't create this situation. You didn't force them to treat you poorly. You didn't make them lie, betray, manipulate, or disrespect you. The one just lost you. And it leaves you. Those were their choices, their decisions, their actions that they took freely, repeatedly, without remorse, without hesitation, without consideration for how it would affect you. They authored this story, you just refusing to be the tragic character they wrote you as. They cast you as the victim, but you rewrote yourself as the one who got away. They wanted you broken, but you chose whole. They needed you dependent, but you became the script is flipped so completely that they don't even recognize the show anymore. They thought they were the directors, but you've taken the camera, changed the genre, and started filming something they're not even invited to audition for. They're watching from outside the window of a life they could have been part of, pressing their faces against the glass, seeing warmth and light and success and joy, and knowing, absolutely knowing that they had their chance to be inside. They were invited. They were welcomed. They were given opportunities most people would kill for, and they squandered it. They took it for granted. They assumed it would always be available, like a 24-hour convenience store they could swing by whenever they felt like it. But you closed. You locked the doors. You changed the locks. And no amount of knocking is going to open them again. Now we enter the realm of poetic justice. The part where the universe itself seems to be orchestrating your vindication. Watch what happens to them now. Watch how their lives unfold without your energy in it. See how the people they chose over you, the ones they thought were better, more valuable, more worthy, see how those relationships implode. Notice how the opportunities they celebrated losing you for, those don't quite pan.